Just drinking from the saucer of victory. It is Victory Monday, people. Welcome into another episode of The Bills, guys. I have my microphone on today. I am ready to go. My name is Steve Mathis. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Mathis. I am joined, as always, by my co-host Dave Tilton. You can find him on Twitter at Tilt Money. We are brought to you, as always, by Manscaped. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, shave your downstairs parts. Manscaped, refining the gentleman since 2000 and something. Promo code Fanatics. Listen, if you're gonna do that stuff down there, you might as well buy the best quality equipment. And by using the promo code Fanatics, it is 20% off and free shipping. So you get it for the same price as that cheap garbage. And you're not going to get all those cuts and scrapes down there. You're going to get a smooth runway. But
Smooth runway. Ryan Teal's leading us off the runway tonight with the super chat. Thanks, Ryan. The regulars are in. People are fired up today. Ryan, of course, is in. Zach Allen is in the house. Rick James FX90. We got Cameron Cook. We've got Sean Munley's in the house. Anthony Welch, Chris Bruton, Chris Janke, of course. Corey Buffalo's in the house. Pierre the Kingpin is in the house. Dr. Meme is in the house. I'm sure I missed a couple other people. Obviously, Ryan's in the house. So, and Elliot's in the house. So here we go.
All right. So we got the comments going already. We're pumped up. We're ready to go. Victory Monday. I'm excited. Let's get into this. Let's just get right into it. My first question to you, Dave, are the Bills 2-0? Because I can't tell when I turn on my television and I turn on ESPN and stuff. Are the Bills 2-0?
I know. It's hard to tell, right? Because at this point, you would have thought they were 0-2 the way people are reacting to this thing. And we're going to talk a lot about Josh Allen tonight. And I have a view on Josh Allen that I think people will relate to that we're going to get into. But yeah, I mean, look, I was tweeting it out last night. I was emotional, right? I was getting ticked. We got Josh Allen, his 400-yard game. We won the game. You tune into the halftime shows of the late games, no mention of the Bills. You tune into Football Night in America, no mentions of the Bills. It's all about Tom Brady this and Dak Prescott that. Tom Brady threw like a freaking 15-yard pass to Mike Evans. Congratulations, man. Great. Good for you. And no mention of Josh. Talk about it a lot tonight, but yeah, it's hard to believe. No one outside of the Bills fans and people who really follow football would probably even know they're 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen was on. He was on First Take this morning. Was he on Get Up as well? He might have been on Get Up as well too. So he was on ESPN a little bit this morning. But at the same time, like, we're gonna get into this today. If you're looking for that Josh Allen fix, if you're looking for that Buffalo Bills fix that you feel like you weren't getting from those mainstream media shows, you are in the right place tonight. We are going to get right into it. And we're going to talk right about the Josh Allen haters. We're going to start right off the bat with the Josh Allen haters today. I know we typically take today's show to break down the game and talk about this and talk about that. And we're going to get to that towards the back half of the show. But here's a synopsis of what happened. The Buffalo Bills defense was missing probably two of their best three players, and they didn't do so hot. And the offense won us the freaking game. Boom. There's your synopsis. Let's get into the Josh Allen talk, because Josh Allen's stats have been absolutely incredible through the first 2 weeks of the season. 700-plus passing yards, 7 touchdowns if you count his rushing touchdown, 0 interceptions. Only Manning, Brady, and Mahomes in their first two in the first 2 games of a season have ever had those kind of statistics. From the 10-11 point of that game last night, yesterday, from the 10-minute 11 mark when the Buffalo Bills went down 20-17, kudos to Sal Capaccio for putting these statistics together. Josh Allen was 6 for 8 for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kudos to, of all places, it must have been like one of their bots that tweeted this. Either that,
I know, that's tough. That's tough for you to say that.
Somebody with a grimace. PFF, kudos to them for tweeting this. On throws 20 yards down the field, Josh Allen was 7 of 8 yesterday for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns. These statistics are absolutely incredible. They are absolutely insane. And I understand all of the people out there who want to say, oh, it's against Miami, it's against New or against the Jets. I get that. I understand the people out there who want to say, well, he's got to do it consistently. I understand that too. Both of those things can be true. But at the same time that people are talking about consistency and all that stuff, they were the same people that were crowning Lamar Jackson after he threw 4 touchdowns against this same Miami defense last year that was even worse. Mm-hmm. There are quarterbacks that have far worse days than Josh Allen had against far worse defenses that headline SportsCenter, that headline the halftime show of Football Night in America, that are in every single MVP conversation, and not at the end, it's sort of as a joke and we'll see 2 games later. Like, it's absolutely incredible the disrespect that the Buffalo Bills get, and it's absolutely incredible the disrespect that Josh Allen gets. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so my view on this is like, something I think that is quite relatable today, regardless of sort of how you feel about it. Is like, I put a tweet out right before we went on the air tonight, and I said, Josh Allen has basically become politicized football elite, if that makes sense, right? Like from a football standpoint, he's a politicized figure because, and I'm not talking about real politics. I'm talking about purely from a football standpoint, and that's what I want to make clear here. People are going to die on the hill that he's not good. They're going to die on the hill that he hasn't improved, that he doesn't even have a good game, can't even admit that the guy's had a good game. And people are not going to come off that stance. It is incredible to me how other players in the past have faced similar, criticism early in their career. And like people have said, look, this person's not going to be good. This quarterback's not going to be good. And then have kind of changed that perception over time, even within a few short years. I mean, you talk about quarterbacks in recent memory who have done that. Alex Smith comes to mind for me. I mean, early in his career, he was killed. Finally, people came around to him. Maybe not the best comparison, but you kind of get where I'm going here with this. He's now in his 3rd year, and people are still not even willing to admit that the guy had a good game. Like there's always some reason why. There was always some excuse why he had a certain stat line, or it was because of this opponent, or it was because something like that. They can never just give him credit. And the reason why that matters is because if they're not even willing to give the quarterback credit when he throws for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, the Bills as a team are also not going to get that credit. McDermott may get some credit, and he's gotten some love here and there, but you see how this kind of stems from the quarterback. The quarterback is not getting the credit he deserves. The entire team will not get the credit they deserve. Look at last year, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson shot out of a cannon. Awesome. All of a sudden, the Ravens were the belle of the ball last year. You don't see that happening now with the Bills.
Yeah. The life of John here with the great super chat. He says, a resounding win against the LA Rams changes minds. Does it? Joe Miller said this yesterday. The goalposts are constantly moving with Josh Allen. I can easily envision us beating the Chargers next week and getting on national TV and going, well, Jalen Ramsey missed this tackle, or Jared Goff threw this interception, or this happened, or this player got hurt. The goalposts are always changing for Josh Allen, and the excuses for not wanting to give him the credit he deserves just keep changing every week the better he plays football.
And this comment from Joe, we're not respected because we haven't done anything. Okay, to an extent, yes, we have made the playoffs in 2 out of the 3 years. Granted, one of those was without Josh, but what had the Ravens done? They won the Super Bowl in what was it? Was it 11 or 12? Mm-hmm. So it had been some time, right? And it's not the same Ravens team. People jumped on the Ravens last year. They hadn't done anything, unless you're saying like they're still going to get the sort of credit they got from 8 years ago. For sure, they made the playoffs the year prior.
Were people saying after Lamar's first game, oh, but it was against the Miami Dolphins? No. Yeah. From the first week last season, it was Lamar Jackson, oh my gosh, MVP, the next Mike Vick. He's going to change the way the game is played. Greg Roman is a genius. He's an offensive mastermind. That was the commentary after week 1 of the football season last year. Mm-hmm. We have done, honestly, a very similar feat the first 2 weeks of the season. These numbers Josh Allen puts up are very are certainly comparable.
Yet
it's Miami and New York, and like we got to see it for more than 2 games. Like Pat Mahomes in his rookie season came out, shot out of a cannon, and people were praising him without needing to see it over time. They were ready to give him all the credit they deserved. And why? It's because most people had a solid draft grade on Patrick Mahomes. He was their sleeper. Or, Lamar Jackson. See, I told you about that Lamar kid. But what is 9/10 of every single draft pundit, every single national media person had to say about Josh Allen before the draft started? Are you kidding me with this guy? He played glorified high school football. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. Like that was the commentary. You're drafting a tight end 7th overall to play quarterback. That was the commentary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's not sugarcoat this either. A lot of these same people didn't think Lamar Jackson was going to be any good. Okay, like Lamar Jackson, consensus wise, from there were a few outliers. I'm not, some people had him, ahead of others, but like consensus wise, he was the 5th quarterback in that draft by almost everybody, right? And a lot of people didn't even know he was going to be picked in the 1st round. So. And I get some of the comments, right? Baltimore has a winning pedigree, fine, but like, had they had that winning pedigree with Lamar Jackson at the helm? No, they hadn't, right? So, like, I think that was just the point I was trying to make with that comment.
I think at the end of the day, though, honestly, it's market. It is market. I think it might actually be, other than Pro Football Focus that has a clear pre-draft bias. I honestly think most of it is market, and I think I could compare. If Josh Allen turns into a good quarterback, my comparable would be probably Phillip Rivers. It would probably be Phillip Rivers, right? Because Phillip Rivers was always sort of invisible because he played in San Diego. He was always putting up numbers with the best of them. That San Diego team was always winning, but it was the San Diego Chargers.
And they never made it to the Super Bowl either. So, I mean, in that regard, Rivers was also part of a similar Josh. And I didn't mean to cut you off there, so I'm sorry. But
no, you're good.
Similar to Josh, he was part of a heralded quarterback class. Let's not bring up J.P. Losman in that discussion. But between Rivers and Roethlisberger and Manning, those three, I mean, Manning and Roethlisberger each had 2 Super Bowls, and Rivers never made it to the promised land, and he never even made it to a Super Bowl. So I think that's also a lot of, between the market and him not making it to the Super Bowl, not being able to win that big game or even get to win a conference championship. Rivers, in my mind, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't, people will probably argue with me on that, but I think the guy's a Hall of Famer, maybe not first ballot, but he's a Hall of Famer. And so you're right, Josh Allen, maybe Phillip Rivers, and, people compare him a lot to Brett Favre. That was his kind of idol growing up. And although Green Bay was a small market, we know the history with the Green Bay Packers. So they're a very much an exception to the rule of being in a small market and sort of and kind of still having that big following. So,
all right. So, like here's another scenario I want to throw at you.
Okay.
Here are Josh Allen's statistics through the first 2 weeks of the season versus the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. We mentioned the 700 plus passing yards, the 6 touchdowns, the 0 interceptions. Manning, Brady, Mahomes are the only 3 to ever do that. The statistics he had towards the end of the last game, 6 of 8 for 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. The 20 yards downfield he was last game, 7 of 8 for 246, 2 touchdowns. He's near the top of every passing statistic in the National Football League through 2 games. If you took out Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills for those statistics and you inserted Sam Darnold and the New York Jets, and it was Sam Darnold versus 2 crap teams the first 2 weeks of the season, is there more press? Is there more media attention? Is there more highlight reels on the national stage if that's Sam Darnold and the New York Jets putting up those statistics and not Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I mean, Colin Cowherd probably wouldn't be able to pee straight, considering he'd have to lean over with the erection he'd get from it. Sorry to make it a little graphic there, but listen, there's no question in my mind. If it's Sam Darnold, we're talking about something else. If it's Daniel Jones, we're talking about it's just yes. The short answer is yes. It's like put anybody put anybody in that scenario other than Josh Allen, and you pretty much get that. I can't think of one quarterback who, out of today's starting NFL quarterbacks, who did that would, maybe Drew Lock, maybe someone like that, right? But if it was Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones or Justin Herbert yesterday who played,
All right. We're going to keep going here. We're going to keep going because I'm enjoying this conversation. But we're going to start getting into specifics because I kept receipts and I want to roll through the receipts today. Nate Geary from WGR, he said it perfectly. All the critics of Josh Allen yesterday were radio silent. They are quiet until he has a bad game, and then they'll be back. The second he has a couple of turnovers in a game, the second he doesn't throw for 300, that they will be back. Josh Allen's probably going to have a bad game this year. It's probably going to happen. We play some really good defenses. It's probably going to happen. And when they do, those haters will be back. So I am going to savor this while it lasts. And I think that Josh Allen will overcome in the end anyway. But Bills Mafia did a great job yesterday. I want to give kudos to Bills Mafia on my favorite platform, Twitter, because they were petty as fuck yesterday on Twitter. And I loved every single second of it. It was my fuel. It's what keeps me going. It is my life source right now. So thank you, Bills Mafia, for your pettiness. And we're going to be just as petty tonight. And let's start with PFF, which I think should be renamed to add a little T at the end to make it because this is what PFF is, or what I am now labeling them, PFFT. They are just full of petty fucking football takes. That's all they are. That is their entire brand. Petty fucking football takes. Pro Football Focus is hot garbage. And I will give them credit. They collect incredible data. They collect incredible data. And that's the reason why all of them can respond back to us on Twitter. Oh, well, all 32 NFL teams subscribe to our website. Of course they do. You have incredible data, Pro Football Focus. Incredible data. But you know what?
And NBC is a partner, right?
Yeah,
so of course.
NBC is a partner. And you know what the NFL doesn't give a shit about, Pro Football Focus? The opinions of your commentators who take that data and turn it into a pile of hot, stinking garbage. They don't pay these dudes for their dumbass
narratives
of their data.
Narratives. That's all it is.
They pay them for their data so they can do what they want with that data. Here's how Pro Football Focus ranked Josh Allen after yesterday. Someone in the comment section, or Dave, explain this to me because I don't understand it. Josh Allen, after throwing for 400 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, and no turnovers, you saw those fourth quarter statistics. 6 for 8, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns in leading his team to victory. A 70% completion percentage. And he is the 12th ranked quarterback this week on Pro Football Focus, behind Sam Darnold, who went 21 of 32 for $179 and a touchdown, behind Mitch Trubisky, who went 18 for 28 for 190, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, and Tom Brady, who went 23 of 35 for 217, a touchdown and a pick. And don't a single one of you say, well, did you watch those games? It's more than just box score. Bullshit. I don't care how many drop passes there were. I don't care. 400 yards? 4 touchdowns? That shit deserves to be respected. I don't care what your grading system is. How you, with a straight face, can post it on the internet and want people to take that seriously is absolutely beyond my realm of understanding. It's absolutely beyond it.
Well, I think there are some. No, you're right, and I think what's happening is you're starting to see people, a lot of Bills fans, but I think it goes even beyond Bills fans. You're starting to see people dismiss some of that commentary, right, and dismiss some of these grades and dismiss some of the analysis. Because to be honest with you, there's not a ton of transparency anyway behind what they're doing. They collect a lot of data, yes, and they use it, to kind of propagate that out onto things like Sunday Night Football and whatever. But at the end of the day, there needs to be some just eye test here, right? Like there has to be some eye test here. And like, you can't qualify everything away from someone who has a good game and then qualify everything for someone who has an average to, an average game. Let's just talk about, Brady or Trubisky, touchdown intercept, like under 300. If you're going to qualify those up, how are you qualifying Allen down, and how does that put him behind these guys? Like at some point, what he does on the field and the numbers he puts up have to matter, right? These numbers matter. They matter for, wins and losses. They're not just there because they're fun numbers. Like Josh Allen, other than the 46 yards, I think someone mentioned that, ultimately resulted in a fumble. I think it was the Knox play, right? He gets credit for the passing yards. We lost the ball. I mean, how can you qualify that 400 yards to put it in a negative perspective when, if you watch the game and you see the throws he was making, honestly, other than like one or two, like, I honestly think that this game, even though it was uncomfortable for at times and we were even losing, like, he played better in this game than he did in the Jets game. I mean, there's no question about it to me. So, and again, they had him ranked below the likes of Fitzpatrick last week. So it's easy for us as fans, and it's very easy for all of us to get heated and get very like, I'm a victim of this too. I did it last week, right? It's easy for us to feel slighted. And I think that at the end of the day, it's just fuel to the fire for the Bills. It's fuel to the fire for Josh Allen. It's fuel to the fire for McDermott. The comment section's blowing up with that as well. And let's give a quick pause for Chris Bruton, new member. And Steve, you do the honors here, man.
Bing, biggity, bing! Let's go, baby! I'm ready. I brought the enthusiasm today.
We need to get a bell. We need a bell.
Let's do it. Yeah, I appreciate it, Chris.
So that's the thing for me, is like, how are they qualifying these games and statistically kind of like bringing all of these guys into the same discussion when, one, I don't see the transparency on how they're doing it. It seems like a free-for-all to me. And two, just watch how they played. Watch how Josh Allen played. You're going to tell me that Sam Darnold played a better game than Josh Allen yesterday? I watched both games. My friend's a Jets fan. We were watching both games. Like, there's no way Sam Darnold was better than Josh Allen yesterday.
I mean, and let's go to my opinion, public enemy number one right now. And that's, in my opinion, it's not PFF Steve, who we're going to get to. Don't you worry, Steve Palazzo and his dumbass comments today. But this Sam Monson character is working my last freaking nerve. I have honestly blocked him at this point. I muted him, so I only see him really on the Bills guys account, because I don't think we have him muted on the Bills guys account. I don't even see my personal account anymore. But this guy is an unabashed Josh Allen hater at Pro Football Focus. He trolls Buffalo, the Bills Mafia, excessively for clicks. I mean, he has openly admitted to Bills fans on Twitter that a Pro Football Focus writer intentionally wrote that Duck Hodges was a better quarterback than Josh Allen, not because it was true, but because it would generate clicks for their website. So he's not even confident enough in his content. He's not even confident enough in his content. And the what's the word I'm looking for? He's not even confident enough in his material to have to try to get listeners without trolling the shit out of them. And that's Sam Monson right there. And his Twitter feed yesterday, as Nate Geary was saying, absolute silence. And I scrolled through that Twitter feed. Out of curiosity, I scrolled through that Twitter feed. What does he do? What was his Twitter feed yesterday? He had 2 clips of Tom Brady throwing passes in the end zone that were dropped. So he was making excuses for Tom Brady. 2 passes that were dropped in the end zone. And he was watching that Bills game. Why? Because he was posting compliments of Mike Gesicki and all those fun catches that Mike Gesicki was making. So he had his eyes on that Buffalo game. Yet, no conversation on Josh Allen. None whatsoever. Not a single nice throw, Josh. Oh, look at that deep ball. Oh, Josh is finally having a good game. Absolutely nothing. And he was trolled so hard by Bills fans that he actually went out and tweeted a comment on the Bills game because he was just lambasted so hard by Bills fans. Like, they blew up his mention so much. He's like, all right, fine. I'll appease you.
It was still backhanded, though, right?
And I'm about to. Oh, don't you worry. I got it right here. I'm about to read it for you.
All right, you go ahead.
A tweet from Sam Monson. Apparently, Bills fans believe silence to be incriminating because my life is about nothing but Josh Allen. So, for the record, number 1, Allen was good today. Number 2, Allen was excellent in the fourth quarter. Number 3, Miami is a bad team. And number 4, Allen isn't as good as a random collection of 2 weeks of statistics. So this guy is openly rooting for Josh Allen to fail at this point. Like, he is doing everything he can to play down why Josh Allen had a good game. This is a guy in the national media, a guy who pretends to have credibility, who pretends to have journalistic integrity, who is openly and unabashedly rooting against Josh Allen. He is rooting for him to fail because he does not like Bills Mafia, and he is rooting for him to fail so his pre-draft scouting report looks more accurate. That is 100% the way to describe Sam Monson in Pro Football Focus. And his avatar is stupid.
Well, that's also true. It was completely backhanded, but it's like Miami's bad. What was like? I'd be curious to know what those guys at Pro Football Focus were saying about Cam Newton in Week 1 when he went up against Miami. Like, what were they saying? Were they praising him? I'd be curious to see what his. If I'm not mistaken, Cam Newton was rated higher than Josh Allen in Week 1 from their grading. I remember Fitzpatrick was ahead of him, and I believe Cam Newton was also ahead of him. So, like, again, what is the formula here? Like, what is the sauce that comes up with these rankings? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, show me what your logic is. Show me what your formula is. Show me what your algorithm is that comes up with it. And then, okay, if you can show me in a calculatable way how you did this, then we can poke even more holes on it, but they can't, right? They can't. So I agree with you. I think that it's just one of those things. It's just utterly frustrating, and it has been, and it was frustrating to an extent last year, but we also kind of like said, like, look, yes, Josh Allen had his flaws last year. We were playing some bad teams. Fine. He's come out of the gate super strong this year. What does he do Week 1? Has his first 300-yard game. What does he do Week 2? He follows it up with his first 400-yard game, back-to-back games. So, he's politicized from a football standpoint. I'm going to go back to that. I mean, he's just like, there's people that are going to die on that hill. And the pre-draft grade thing is just bonkers to me because now we're 3 years in. Does anyone really care what people had for draft grades now at this point 3 years ago? Like, Mel Kiper sat up there on ESPN when Jimmy Clausen was drafted and was like, I made that comment about if Jimmy Clausen's not like a Pro Bowler or something in the next 2 years, I'll like quit or something. Like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but like, even the draft quote experts are wrong. Most of the time, the draft is an imperfect science. You are going to be wrong more times than you're not. So why people want to die on this like hill of like being right about Josh Allen's pre-draft scouting report just baffles me. It just baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, and like speaking of, well, that's just mean. Someone called me a fat Kenny G. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm trying to lose weight, I swear.
Man, that's good.
Speaking of Pro Football Focus, I think we got a PFF fan in the comment section there. But Pro Football Focus, Steve Palazzo. Speaking of PFF_Steve. Speaking of not understanding the logic behind their algorithm, maybe there is no logic, because let me read you this comment from Steve Palazzo on the Pro Football Focus podcast today when speaking about Josh Allen. Allen played a good game. I don't think he played a 420-yard, 4-touchdown, and no interception good. That is where there is a bit of a discrepancy. What?
Oh, Aaron Quinn went at him hard on this, and I really liked that.
Yeah. Josh Allen's statistics for this game, 400-plus yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I don't think he played a 420-yard, 4-touchdown, and no interception good. Like, what? Like, that absolutely baffles me. And here's why it baffles me. Because Steve Palazzo is willing to say that. Yet, I guarantee you when he's talking about like a Kyler Murray or a Joe Burrow, he never makes those comments about Kyler Murray or Joe Burrow when he's breaking down their game film. So that's absolutely insane. But there was some great comments from Bills Mafia to this post by Steve Palazzo. And I want to read some. At Bills on 3 tweeted back to my retweet of this. Tom Brady had a really good career. I don't think he's been 6 Super Bowl wins good, but he's had a good career. Or this one from Jesse PHM. Wow, first QB in NFL history to throw for 400-plus yards during a 250-yard passing performance. And in response to that, at Reddit Bills says, meanwhile, Sam Darnold was so efficient, he managed to have a 350-yard passing day while throwing for only 179 yards. So thank you, Bills Mafia, for making my day complete.
So good. The internet
for
always
making
wins,
my day
right?
complete. So it's thank you for making my day complete, Bills Mafia. And here is what I am suggesting to you, the people of Bills Mafia, and myself. I've done it on my personal account. I think I'm about to do it on our professional account as well. Let's all just mute them. Let's mute them out of Bills Mafia existence. If we collectively, as Bills Mafia, just mute every single person in Pro Football Focus, and we stop looking, and we stop listening, and we stop responding, I feel like it'll all just go away. Let's create our own little bubble, our own little non-PFF bubble. That is something that I am thoroughly considering, and has been done on my personal account, and I'm thinking about doing it on our professional account as well. And by professional account,
Go ahead.
those guys' account, because I don't think there's anything professional about it. So let's do it. Let's do it. So again,
it's
there's
like it's like airing your grievances. You ever seen the movie Surviving Christmas? Yeah. You write down your grievances, put them on a little piece of paper, and then burn them. They go away.
There's a couple of comments in the comment section now. A couple of comments in the comment section about my love for Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow, and I want to get into that because people are saying, well, how can you beef up Josh Allen when you earlier this offseason said you thought Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow were better? Let me explain to you why I can. I'm going to explain it to you through the next man on our receipt list, and that man is Bucky Brooks. Bucky Brooks of the Moving the Chains podcast, NFL Network, former Buffalo Bill. He had some choice words on Twitter. So I was scrolling through Bucky Brooks' Twitter account, and here's some of the commentary from Bucky Brooks on Twitter yesterday. He was gloating that Dak Prescott is going to sign a $40 million contract. So he was essentially pumping up Dak Prescott. He was saying that Kyler Murray, sooner rather than later, is going to win an MVP award in the National Football League. So he was pumping up Kyler Murray, and he was pumping up Dak Prescott on his Twitter feed all day. And then he goes and he tweets this gem. It's not always pretty with Josh Allen, but it's working for the Bills. They've crafted an offense around his talents that works for him while masking his deficiencies. So essentially he's saying it's not Josh Allen who's good. It's Brian Daboll, the culture, the system, and the talent around him that's good. That is what Bucky Brooks is saying. And when someone asked him to further clarify what you mean about it's not always pretty with Josh Allen, he had this to say. 2 to 3 big misses every week, particularly on deep throws. Can't keep throwing the ball up for grabs under duress. He's gotten away with it thus far, but the turnovers will come. I'm sorry, but you're sitting here and you're willing to say that Josh Allen is a product of his surrounding talent, and he's still got a lot to prove. Yet you're willing to bulk up and beef up and shine a limelight on Dak Prescott and Kyler Murray? That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't fly with me. You can't have it both ways. You can't elevate Josh Allen. You can't not elevate Josh Allen because of 2 to 3 bad plays a game when Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers throw 5 or 6 absolutely terrible footballs every game too. And they're notorious for throwing footballs up for grabs. Mm-hmm. They are too. And then, Bucky Brooks could easily come back to me and be like, well, they've done it consistently. They've done it consistently. That's why they get the benefit of the doubt. Well, I'm sorry. Has Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray done it consistently? Have they? Do they get the same? Do they get the same pass as a Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers? How can you try to tear down Josh Allen in one tweet, and yet try by saying he's got talent around him, and they're masking his deficiencies, and in the next 2 tweets talk about Kyler Murray and Dak Prescott, who have some of the most talented football players in the league surrounding them, and not be willing to talk about their 2 or 3 bad throws and just forget that their 2 or 3 bad throws exist. I don't understand that. And that's what gets back to me. It's I think Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow are really good quarterbacks. I said before the season I thought they were better than Josh Allen. I'm willing to admit that, holy shit, I didn't think Josh Allen was going to be this good this quickly. I thought he'd be hitting this kind of stride mid-season. And I wasn't sure if we'd ever see Josh Allen's ceiling. But what we just saw from Josh Allen today might not even be his ceiling. Holy crap, maybe I'm wrong and he can reach that ceiling. And if he reaches that ceiling, he's better than Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow because he's more physically gifted. He's a better football player than the 2 of them. but like he's a better athlete than the two of them. He's got better intangibles than the two of them. I just thought that if he never reached his ceiling, that those two probably could have had better careers than him. But I have no problem sitting here and telling you, I think I might be wrong. After 2 games, after seeing this, I think I might be wrong. Like, I have no problem saying this. Bucky Brooks, Steve Palazzo, Sam Monson. Why do you have a problem doing it? Why do you? You know, I don't. I was
also,
wrong.
I would like to know which 2 to 3 throws in the Miami game were bad decisions under duress, because the one that comes to my mind in the Jets game was the one after the John Brown overthrow. We talked about that at length. After that game, that was obviously not great. But like, I mean, yeah, you could say the one that he threw up to Diggs, where Diggs made that spectacular catch sort of between the two guys. Like, I mean, was it ill-advised? I wouldn't say it was ill-advised. That was a 50-50 ball. I mean, I don't think there were really any throws I can think of, like, other than the Van Noy one, where we were down deep in our own, deep in our own zone. But that was a good play by Van Noy. I'm willing to admit that. Like, I don't even know how do these guys even watch the games. That's the thing that I'm trying to figure out. Like, and I know Chris, our guy Chris Janke asked, right? Like, why do we care? Why do we care so much? Well, I think we care so much is because, we've been tired of seeing nothing but the Patriots on our TVs for 20 years. We've been tired of seeing nothing but the Cowboys on our TV for 20 years. And people intrinsically, I think, people want to receive recognition when they do well. Like, if and that recognition can come in several forms, right? Like, in your workplace, it can be monetarily, it could be, an achievement, an award or something, right? Like, it feels good to be recognized when you do a good job, right? Like, we all want that. We all want to be recognized when we do a good job. We don't want to feel like what we're doing doesn't matter. And I think that's where a lot of this is spilling over, is that we've dealt with this for so long as Bills fans. And like, when we finally feel like we should be in the spotlight a little bit, not even like, we don't even need it all. We just need a little, like, just give us some recognition where recognition is due. Give us some credit where credit is due. Give Josh credit where credit is due for throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's not that hard, but there are other factors, right? Market, these other things. It's not, we don't live in a vacuum here with this stuff. So, I think that's why people care so much.
James FX90 said, now that's the energy we need. You're welcome. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So I got no problem admitting it. Jim Sanderson, thank you. That was the clarification I was going to make. I said Josh Allen was a better athlete than Kyle Murray. I think that, you could call it a toss-up because they're both different kind of athletes. I think you said it perfectly. Athlete may not, but I think what he said was more physically gifted. And from a QB perspective, I think you can make the argument he's bigger, stronger, and has a better arm. So that was the point I was trying to make from a quarterbacking standpoint.
And how about ESPN being like the one network, surprisingly, that actually gave the Bills some credit between Josh being on First Take and Dan Graziano writing a piece about Josh Allen having MVP potential this year. So I will give them credit, and people know I'm not a big ESPN guy, but they actually did. And like a couple people were mentioning in the comment section, he was on First Take, where we are getting some recognition. Oh, fair on that.
All right, Ryan Teal, thank you so much with the $5 donation. He says, over 300 in here. Smash those likes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna try. This is what I do. I'm petty today. I'm petty, and I'll never admit not being petty. So here's what I'm gonna say. If you think that Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC East, if you think that Josh Allen is a true MVP candidate, smash that like button, folks. We got 300 plus people in here, and we got 65 likes. If you think Josh Allen is a serious MVP candidate, smash that like button.
Please do. And Pierre asked the question, was he getting MVP buzz on ESPN? Dan Graziano put out an article today that was just like mentioning, we need to like start thinking about putting him in that conversation. So it wasn't like, oh, crown him. Obviously, it's been 2 games, but it was the first time I've seen it mentioned by anyone from a national standpoint that he, he might deserve some recognition this early.
Yeah.
I'm not straight. If we went 16,
your turn.
I'm not straight. Says if we went 16-0, we would still get no respect. Yeah, I mean, look, I was getting kind of salty yesterday. I was ticked when they didn't show anything on Football Night in America as far as like the best of week 2. They showed Tom Brady, and it just really freaking pissed me off. So I made some comment about like Josh Allen could throw for 600 yards. They still wouldn't show him. But look, at the end of the day, just major league this thing, right? Now just win the whole damn thing, like they say in the movie, right? No one else wants you to do it. Like just have that mentality. If you win the whole damn thing, they can't ever take that away from you. So got another super chat here from Bills fan 1975 bucks. Thanks for that. Another regular of ours, so thank you. The hate for the Bills is real. This reminds me so much of the Bird Cushing debate. I was wrong about Allen, and I'm so glad. Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's easy for like I wanted Rosen. I'm not afraid to admit it. I wanted Rosen back in 2017, and so my God, like how different things are now, right? So yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah. All right. Last man in my receipt book. Mr. Colin Cowherd.
Oh,
the man
the best for last. The best for last.
The man who apparently thinks that every Bills player was born and raised in an igloo and has never seen 90-degree weather before. That Colin Cowherd, who picked Miami to win, who has been singing, though, the Bills' praises all offseason. But his praises, Sean McDermott, the defense, the skill guys. With one exception, there was like 1 week in July where Colin Cowherd woke up one morning and said, I'm going to say something nice about Josh Allen. And in the middle of the summer, he ranked Josh Allen as like the 6th best quarterback in the AFC or something. But ever since then, he's been on the Bills are really good. But they're really good because of their head coach and their defense. And they're good despite he's been on that good despite their quarterback narrative. That's the narrative Colin Cowherd has been on. And his Twitter feed yesterday looked a hell of a lot like Sam Monson's. Excuses for Tom Brady. Oh, did you guys see all those passes in the end zone in the Tampa Bay game? Praise for Jazicki. So he was watching that Buffalo game. He had the game on. But the words Buffalo Bills, absolutely silent from his Twitter feed. Absolutely silent from his Twitter feed yesterday. You won't hear from Colin Cowherd on this issue until what he verbalizes comes to reality. That's what this guy does. He pushes out so much content. 4 hours of content a day, 5 days a week, that he buries what he gets wrong and he elevates what he gets right. That's what this guy does better than anyone in the business. He will actually, at some point over the course of like a month or a week or an off season, actually take every side of an issue. He will take every side of an issue. And then when one of those sides becomes reality, he'll bury the other 3 and he'll elevate the one time he was right. And that's what he's going to do with this Buffalo Bills team. I can guarantee you within a week, one of 2 things will happen. He'll either get on the PFF train and talk about the schedule being really easy, or let's see him do it against the Rams. But if Josh Allen shows up against the Rams, Colin Cowherd will pull up that clip from July. He will pull up that clip from July of Josh Allen being the 6th best quarterback in the AFC East. And that whole narrative from the last 6 months will go out the window. And it'll be like, see, I told you so. That's what Colin Cowherd does. And he does it better than anyone in the business.
And he's a big LA guy too. So obviously that would be that would really piss him off. Della Torre makes a comment there in the comment section. You guys are amateur Bills fans. The Bills of the 90s never got respect either. There used to be an Aretha Franklin parody song for the Bills called Respect. Look, I mean, I'm aware of sort of what's gone on here. And like, I understand the last 20 years, we haven't really earned anything, right? Like we've never warranted the benefit of the doubt since the Music City Miracle for all intents and purposes. But at this point, like, I guess maybe what we should be is just happy with the respect that we are getting from certain people, like the Dan Wagon someone mentioned, Dan Orlovsky starting something for us. So look, it's not, maybe it's one of those things. It's not going to all come at once. And like, look, at the end of the day, maybe it's about perspective. We're 2-0. It's still very early in the season. We could come out and just look like trash against the Rams. So who knows, right? Maybe we are getting a little ahead of ourselves, but you can't really ask for much more than, back on this Josh Allen thing, you can't really ask for much more from Josh Allen after the first 2 games of the season than what you've seen from him.
We got Zach Allen here saying Chris Sims has always believed in us. I can hop on that wagon too. Good morning, football. Andrew Miller says is on our side.
Kyle Brandt has shown us love.
And there's another pair. There's another pair that has been on our side since day one. I'm wearing a shirt today to tribute them. No one can see my shirt, but it is my trash shirt. The part of my take, boys. I'm not a big bar school guy, but I stand for Big Cat and PFT. Trash stands for throwing rockets and slapping heinies. This is a Josh Allen shirt. They are the ones who started the Josh Allen in shorts, the draftjoshallen.com. They have been behind Josh Allen from day one. And if you go over to our Twitter feed, you can see the promo from their show today. I'll tell you what, on Monday mornings, after you've gotten Rico out of your system, after you've gotten Joe Miller Wired out of your system, and you've watched your BF for the day, and before you turn on the Bills guys, do me a favor and listen to the first hour and a half of Pardon My Take, or the first hour of Pardon My Take, first 45 minutes, because these guys might not be top-notch analysts, but for two comedians, for two guys who are more known for their comedy than their maybe their football knowledge, they are so spot on about everything in the National Football League, and their football takes are absolutely incredible. So if you're not listening to my Pardon My Take, do so, and let me read to you the quote from this morning. And this is a long one, and get ready for it because it's a doozy. This is from PFT and Big Cat this morning on Pardon My Take. If you haven't seen it, the video is also on our Twitter feed. All you Josh Allen haters out there, suck our fucking dicks. This guy is so good. Last week he had his first 300-yard game. This week he had his first 400-yard game. There, Josh Allen haters, that is, are getting silent. I'm sure some nerd will rank Josh Allen as the worst quarterback because he threw a pass for a touchdown, but he threw it a little high, or he had a bad launch angle, or it was 50% catchable, not 100%. But fuck you haters, Josh Allen is awesome. Here is my stat for Josh Allen today. He kicks ass. You want to talk about getting the keys to the offense? The Bills have officially turned their offense over to Josh Allen. He was throwing on all downs in all situations. He was absolutely truck sticking people. A play is never over when Josh Allen is involved. I continue. The haters are fuckheads, and they can suck our dicks. Suck it. Literally suck it. Like I'm going to write Josh Allen on my dick, and you can suck it. Need we say more? Need we say more, ladies and gentlemen? Need we say more? That is, ladies and gentlemen, I am reading. My name is Josh Mathis. You can find me on Twitter at Josh Mathis. But I am reading comments from Pardon My Take this morning over on the Barstool Sports Network. Big Cat and PFT, the two biggest Josh Allen fans in the world. I know we're all big Josh Allen fans, but those are the two biggest Josh Allen fans. That was written by, again, Pardon My Take, Pro Football Talk. Head over to my Twitter account, and you can find the video. Just really, really good stuff from those guys every week on Monday. They recreate every morning. They recreate the fastest 2 minutes in football with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, and they recreate that every morning to lead off their show. It's great stuff. But I know we got a little rated X there, but
hey, he was just quoting. He was just quoting something.
I was just quoting. I would have just been quoted.
Yeah, it's after 8:00 on the East Coast. It's okay.
yeah, it is. It is okay. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're 50 minutes in, but we still got plenty of stuff to talk about. If you're still willing to have us, I think we'd be willing to go for a little bit while longer. I know Monday Night Football is officially underway, but one of the things that I want to talk about on a serious note is how great is it that the offense won us a football game, right? Like the defense didn't show up today. Obviously, there were reasons for that. We're missing our two starting linebackers, our two all-pro linebackers. But the offense, we won this game today because of our offense and because of our franchise quarterback. How awesome is that?
Oh, it's a great feeling. I mean, we talked about that was one of the themes coming in, right? Like the offense might have to win this game for us. You look at the end of the day, the stats. 413 passing yards, 111 rushing, over 500 yards of total offense. And again, we gave up 400 yards of total, over 400 yards of total offense to the Dolphins. So, we needed that offensive performance this game. And this was, like we said in the preview and in the pregame, like Josh Allen and the offense are going to have to maybe, for not once, because they haven't always had bad games. They've had good games against Miami in the past, but like for the large part in the McDermott era, the defense has carried us to wins. And it was nice to kind of flip the script there and have the offense do it, which shows me that this team can win in multiple ways. The defense can do it one week. The offense can do it one week. Now, what makes this team really dangerous is that when healthy, both the offense and defense have the potential to be really good, both sides of the ball, which that's what you obviously want if you're going to try to make a run deep into the playoffs. So it was nice to see that offense pick up the defense slack this week, especially missing Edmonds and Milano. And that was clearly a huge absence for us yesterday.
Another thing that really stuck out to me was the offense going for the jugular. The offense went for the jugular. We were up. Oh gosh, what was the score? We finished with 31, so it was 24. Was it 24-21? Is that the score?
24-20, I think.
20, yeah, because they went for 2. So it was 24-20. Our offense got the ball, and it wasn't, all right, we're going to run, pass, try to milk the clock. There's under 4 minutes. No, it was Josh Allen launches a missile down the field. It was a miscommunication between him and John Brown, so they don't complete the pass. And then Josh Allen comes back and throws another bomb down the field to John Brown to put the game away. It was absolutely outstanding. They went for the jugular. You love to see it.
Yeah, and there was about 4 minutes left, I think, or so in the game at that point, and it was like the first play of the series, I think, and I was like, okay, we're up by 4. There's 4 minutes left. I was like, I literally turned to my friend and I was like, if this is run, pass, I'm going to freaking lose it. And for sure enough, they came out and slung it on first down. And like, obviously the first play to Brown, Josh made it seem like he was supposed to kind of go up and Brown kind of went across. Or he was supposed to go kind of towards the corner, like a post, and he went up, I guess. And then they came back on the next play and hit it. So, I was thinking about that and how great that play was. And I was just, I had immediately thought that someone from PFF is probably going to say that Josh Allen slightly underthrew that ball to John Brown, that he scored the touchdown.
We got a question here from Andrew Miller. He says, anyone worried about our D-line? Doesn't seem to get consistent pressure, and these are the worst O-lines in football. We need blitzes for sacks. I think part of the reason is a lot of our pressure, Sean McDermott likes to get pressure from the interior, and he likes to have his guys on the outside to wrap up. But the one thing I will say about Ryan Fitzpatrick this game, he was getting that football out quick. He was getting that football out real quick. There's not very many defensive linemen in the National Football League that you're going to see getting to the quarterback that quick. Second, the Bills even started switching up and going man-to-man because Ryan Fitzpatrick was just ripping it into the middle of that zone defense. And Mike Gesicki was making some really impressive catches that not very many people could do anything about.
That one-handed one was nice. I'll give him credit. That was a nice catch.
So I understand where you're coming from, Andrew. It's definitely been something that's gotten to me. But if you look statistically at Sean McDermott's in his career as a defensive coordinator, no one's ever been a sack guy for Sean McDermott. No one. That's just not his philosophy. His defensive linemen set the edge. His interior guys create the pressure, and Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano blitzing from the linebacker spot are huge parts of the Buffalo Bills creating pressure, and they just weren't there today. They weren't there. And Tyrell Dodson had a good game, but he was still a step slower than a lot of other than a Matt Milano or Tremaine Edmonds would have been, and A.J. Klein was an absolute liability, even though he had a few good plays in there as well.
Yeah, Dodson did what he could, right? And I think the coaching staff came out and praised him, said that he flashed a bit. They didn't have to change much of what they were doing because of how he played in camp. Cobred Beats here with a super chat. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. I'll never understand the Allen haters. It's always something. Seems like Allen needs 45 for 800 yards, 7 TDs with 2. Yeah, I mean, that gets back to what I said on Twitter yesterday with like the 600 yards. And that's the theme, right, of the show today, really, with all the haters. So thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. And you're right. I mean, Dodson, he held his own, right? And I think the coaching staff recognized that when you've had Klein on one side and Dotson, they clearly realize wow, how bad is AJ Klein when Dotson did flash. I will say he made a couple plays, but I still don't fully trust.
Still not Tremaine Edmonds though. Yeah,
exactly.
Even at the end of the day, Dotson playing really well is still it's still nowhere near like Tremaine Edmonds playing average. It's just not and I'm happy for the guy. I think he had a good game, but it was just completely different without Tremaine Edmonds out there. Back to the Josh Allen point. Whether the national media wants to admit it or not, Josh Allen has arrived. Look at the statistics; they're there. It's going to be really interesting to see him go up against Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald this week. We're going to get to the offensive line rotation in a second. Speaking of Aaron Donald, but it's also really neat to talk about. Joe Miller said this morning on the Overreaction podcast. You want to know why we should believe that Josh Allen is the franchise quarterback? Because his teammates believe that Josh Allen is the franchise quarterback. Like when they were doing the post-game interviews over Skype, because none of the reporters were allowed to go to the game, and they were bringing up the fact that Josh Allen threw for 400 yards, the look on Trey White and Jordan Poyer's face and Micah Hyde's face when they heard the statistics that Josh Allen was putting up, the way you see John Feliciano tweeting, live tweeting the game, talking about Josh Allen, this team loves this quarterback. He is the franchise quarterback. Everyone has full faith in him. The PFT guys were 100% correct. This offense is no longer a balanced offense. This is now Josh Allen's offense. I sort of mused before this game, we're probably going to run the ball more. It's probably going to go back more towards 50-50. Miami's weak against the run. They're strong against the pass. The Buffalo Bills didn't care. They didn't care how good Miami was. They didn't care how tough it is to throw against man-to-man defenses. They didn't care. They threw it almost 50 times anyway, or almost 40 times anyway.
Yep.
They just
35 pass, 23 rush. They were still over 10 more passing than rushing.
They just didn't care. Strap in, folks. What you see from the Kansas City Chiefs on a weekly basis, what you see from the Houston Texans on a weekly basis, what you see from these spreadier offenses. I'm not saying the Buffalo Bills are going to go full spread, but what you see from these pass-happy offenses, that's the Buffalo Bills from here on out. It's going to take some injuries to the wide receiver room or a snowstorm for the Buffalo Bills to change their philosophy, in my opinion. This is it. This is our offense now. So strap in, get Manscaped so you can, be, in with the proper – what do they call it when you're speeding through the space? You got to have proper wind, whatever the
aerodynamic.
Strap in, aerodynamic. You got to be aerodynamically friendly. Strap in, because this is what this offense is going to look like from here on out. And it's not always going to be the prettiest in the world. It's not always going to be the prettiest in the world. There are going to be games where Josh Allen is 23 of 37. That's going to happen. But he's going to have to make those big plays and put up those points.
Yeah, and play action was working well because the running game was effective, and I went back and watched a lot of the,
That's the thing that honestly, I'm starting to buy into that's a myth. Play action, it doesn't matter how well you're running the ball. Play action's play action. People are biting even if I could be sitting there in the back of the running back, and I think people would bite on play action. It was really getting people. I think a good running game helps. Don't get me wrong.
Well, it seems like it's a good timing thing for Josh too. It just works with him. You watch, he was under center more this game than he was last game. He was still under shotgun quite a bit, but some of those throws he made out of play action were from under center. That big one down the left sideline to Beasley, that was under center play action on that play. So he's very comfortable with that. What I also like is he seems comfortable under center and out of the shotgun equally. So the play action has really been good to him, and it worked well this game. Most of his big plays came out of play action. So
let's talk about Brian Daboll and this culture a little bit, because Brian Daboll, listen, we need to check the fine print of his contract, because if the Bills aren't smart, Brian Daboll might be the head coach of the New York Jets by their bye week. Because let me tell you, folks, if this stays up, Brian Daboll is going to be a head coach next year. We can kiss him goodbye. He is good as gone. If the Bills continue to play offense at this pace, the way he calls plays, the history that Brian Daboll has with Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, the culture that he has sort of learning from and soaking in from Sean McDermott and what Sean McDermott has done here in Buffalo, Brian Daboll is as good as gone, folks, in the offseason. Like, what percentage chance would you put if the Buffalo Bills offense continues to play it the way it's playing of Brian Daboll being the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills next year?
Yeah, I mean, if we play the way we're playing, and obviously we're not going to have probably 500 yards of offense every game, but if we play the way we're playing and we show well against some of these better defenses that we have coming up on the schedule, and we play well against some of these better teams like the Rams and the Chiefs and the Niners, I mean, it's less than 50% that he's here, obviously. I think, like, you know, there were some rumblings even of him getting a chance last year, and that was with the offense getting 19 points a game because they saw Allen's improvement from year 1 to year 2. So he's as good as gone, most likely. And I would be very surprised, I guess, if the Bills continue on this trajectory, and even if the law of averages catches up to them. But let's say they, you know, win the division, have a top 10-ish offense. He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and you gotta love the absolute culture and mindset too. I mean, the comment that it really stuck out to me today, and Jay Spence, forwarded it to us in our BF family chat, was, the tweet was from Dan Fetz, but all the guys had it by the end of the day. I even saw some live video of it. Brian Daboll, in his press conference today, said that during the first half of the game, John Brown was in the headset talking to Brian Daboll, saying, "Listen, you need to keep feeding Stephon Diggs. You need to keep feeding 14." And at halftime, Stephon Diggs is having a conversation with Brian Daboll, and Stephon Diggs is like, "Hey, Brian, here are some ways I think we can get John Brown open." Like, these guys want each other.
And Beasley.
And Beasley. Like, they get it. They get it. They understand that John Brown understands that the better Stephon Diggs plays, the better opportunities for John Brown. Likewise, Stephon Diggs understands the better John Brown plays, the more opportunities for Stephon Diggs. Same with Cole Beasley. Like this, how often is it a team understands that? The team gets it, and they're not selfish, and they don't need their 10 targets a game. They understand that if the guy across from them is playing better, they're going to get theirs eventually. You don't see that a lot, and that is the culture that Sean McDermott has created here in Buffalo, and it's nothing short of incredible.
I mean, it's incredible, and especially, I mean, yeah, of course, if we're going to open up the offense like this every week, or it becomes a trend where we're throwing the ball 35-ish times a game, there's going to be more than enough to go around for all three of them. So, of course, like, keep that offense on the field. The game plans to throw it a little bit more. I mean, Beasley still had 70 yards. John Brown still had 82 yards in the touchdown, even with Diggs' monster day. These guys still both were 70-plus yards, and each of them still had 6 targets. So there's certainly enough to go around for all three of them, especially if, like you said, this becomes the new norm for us on offense, and we are throwing the ball 35 times a game. No reason for that not to be the case, but the fact of the matter is you still need to have players that are willing to have the right attitude, and all three of these guys are clearly that. And what Daboll said obviously echoed that. What a just like a nice. It just makes you feel good, man, to see when players talk about other players like that.
Jeffrey Green, appreciate the super chat as always, saying let's go. Hey man, we're just getting started. I think we got about 10-15 minutes left, but we're gonna keep rolling for you. And Rico's into the chat. He says, "What up, Damon C? What up, Rico? How you doing?" So let's go through maybe, Rico touched on some of this last night. I hate to talk about it. We got a super chat from Jeffrey Green here. Can Josh Allen do this every week? I'm gonna start off here by saying no, but I'm gonna say this with the caveat of I kind of just made this question. I kind of just answered this question. This is the Buffalo Bills offense now. Unless there is like a massive amount of injuries to the wide receiver core, or unless there's like a massive snowstorm, this is our offense now. It is going to be a pass-first offense. So whether Pro Football Focus likes it or not, whether ESPN likes it or not, this is Josh Allen's offense now. He's got the keys to the Mercedes, the BMW, whatever you want to call the Buffalo Bills offense. He's got the keys to it. And every week he's going to get somewhere between 35 and 40 passes. And not every week is he going to complete 70% of them.
Right.
But what he's got to do is he's got to continue making those big plays, and he's got to continue scoring points. And that is where the consistency comes in. That is where the consistency conversation comes in. I don't need him to consistently throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but I need him to consistently throw touchdowns when they're there. I need him to consistently put up points. I need him to consistently pick up first downs in clutch situations. The defense will get better. The defense will get better. Josh Allen's completion percentage is going to come down. His yards per game is going to come down. But he's got to keep scoring points. He's got to keep making big plays, and he's got to keep scoring. As cliche as it sounds, he's just every week he's just got to do better than the other team's offense. If the defense isn't playing well that game, you're gonna give me 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. If the defense is having a really good game, okay, 250 in the air, 250 on the ground, and a couple of tutties will do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean the way I think about this too is like from the top down, from the organizational standpoint. It's year 3. You look around the league. You see what the Chiefs did last year. You see Mahomes. Mahomes owns that offense, obviously, with Andy Reid. Deshaun Watson with Houston. Lamar Jackson with Baltimore. Rodgers. Like these guys that are the elite of the elite, they run their offenses and they own them. The Bills organizationally have to sit there and be like, look, in order for us to – we have to take a risk here, and we have to let Josh Allen run this offense, and we have to let him own the offense, like the PFT guys were saying, and like Kyle Brandt was saying. Because if you don't, you're never going to know what you really have with him if you're constantly trying to be like so risk averse from an ownership of the huddle, of the offense, whatever. Let him do it. He's in year 3. He's shown the progression, and if he does fulfill sort of that trajectory, you're going to look so smart by allowing him to do it, because that's really the only way in my mind that you're going to get to where you want to get to, and that's to win a Super Bowl. You can't do it being so risk averse like maybe McDermott was that first year with Tyrod, because like that was just the situation we were in. Mm-hmm. You have to let Allen, you have to take the rein. You have to let him take the reins. You have to, or you're not going to really ever see the true potential, true ceiling that he can bring for your team and get you that Lombardi. So I like that this is going to be the offense if that's the case, because him owning it, it's confidence in the coaching staff, and they're saying we're gonna roll with however this plays out with Josh. That's where we're going with. He's our guy. So
yeah, Jeffrey Green says, can this offense be like the K-Gun? I don't see why not. I don't think that's being a homer take. You look at the talent on this offense. If they can stay healthy, when you have weapons. So the whole point of the K-Gun, right, was it was a simple offense. It was like 6 or 7 plays, but they would run it so fast, and Jim Kelly would at the line of scrimmage call whatever play he thought best, and they would have options at the line of scrimmage. That was like the whole concept behind the K-Gun, was simplicity but execution and going fast. That was the K-Gun. I don't think it's going to be like the K-Gun in terms of style and philosophy, but I think you could see K-Gun-esque production. I think this is going to be the most explosive offense you're going to see from the Buffalo Bills since the 1990s. This will exceed the Drew Bledsoe offenses. Because it's going to be predicated around throwing the football 35 to 40 times a week. The Buffalo Bills have entered modern era football. This is not a 1 or 2 week thing or when we're losing. This is every game we're going to be throwing it 35 to 45 times a game. That's going to happen. And when that happens, and you have weapons like John Brown and Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and Cole Beasley, and we could throw Dawson Knox in there maybe. I don't know if I want to do that yet. We can have that conversation in a moment. But, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, you're going to score points.
And John Kennedy, a member and a subscriber. So, Steve, let's let you do the honors here again with Rico in the house. Let's do him good here.
Rico's watching. John Kennedy, bing, bingity, bing. Welcome to the BF community. I don't have a bell yet, but I'm going to get one.
Got to get you a bell. And also the other main difference here with the K-Gun is the K-Gun relied on a big tight end, Metzler's, if you remember, which we really don't like. Greg Thompson was mentioning this. A lot of people were. Knox, we like the idea of Knox, but he just hasn't proven it yet. So that's another big difference between the K-Gun there. They relied a lot on the tight end in the K-Gun, big, tall tight end, which we don't really have. So. The hurry up offense concepts. Yes, I understand that, but
we got Rico says I was going to bring up something from his show last night. Well, the theme of his show last night was the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we haven't gotten to the bad and the ugly yet, and that's what I was going to bring up. Like we haven't talked about maybe the not so good stuff yet. So Levi Wallace, do we want to talk about it?
I mean,
what are your
I
thoughts
think
on Levi Wallace, Dave?
This has been a very like positively themed show. So let's just quickly touch on Levi Wallace. Let's not do too much of the bad and the ugly because Rico did already do that.
Yeah.
We want to keep this positive. I put a tweet out there yesterday that said something to the effect of like Levi Wallace truthers can take a back seat for now or something like that, because let's be real, he did not have a good game. He was getting abused. Anybody they put on him, whether it was Gesicki, whether it was Devontae Parker, CB2 is an issue right now. I think it's clear now even more why the Bills brought in Josh Norman for that $6 million. There's a lot of Levi Wallace fans out there, and I don't dislike Levi Wallace, but he was a liability yesterday, and that could be an issue. You know, that could be an issue next week with the likes of Woods and Kupp, all right, and Van Jefferson. The Rams have some receivers now, so yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried about that CB2 spot right now, but I'm not gonna get too much into it because I want to keep the show fairly positive today.
Hey, we still have at least one more week before Josh Norman comes back, and in that week, I would like to see one of two things happen. I would really like to see us either sign Prince Amukamara this week, because even when Josh Norman comes back, I would love to have a player like that, as boundary depth. But if they're not willing to go that route and they're not willing to sign a Prince Amukamara, give Cam Lewis some looks on the boundary. Give him some looks on the boundary. Mm-hmm. Someone mentioned, I think it was Joe Biscaglia in his article for The Athletic yesterday, said, or it might have been Matt Perino, so I do apologize to either one of those gentlemen, whoever's take it was. They said, give Saran Neal a shot at the boundary. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that's a hard pass. I don't care what kind of preseason or training camp, he had on the boundary. I don't want to see it. Heck, Saran Neal wasn't even getting the snaps. Dean Marlowe was getting the snaps in the dime look, which baffled me because he got blazed on that one play by Gesicki. So the Bills have some issues in that secondary because Tron Johnson wasn't that great either. We'll see what happens when linebackers come back.
We will see that. So let's bring it back to a positive note with James Soggs as a new member and subscriber on the YouTube channel. James, welcome. And Steve, you've had 2 solid ones tonight. Let's make it 3 for 3.
All right. James Soggs, welcome to the BF family. Bing, bingity, bing. We got it.
I heard there was like a little metal sound there. Did you? Yeah.
It's a white folding table. If we go 60-0 this year, I'll jump through it. How does that sound? But
sounds great, man. Sounds great.
I saw a couple people mention Dawson Knox, and I want to talk about Dawson Knox a little bit. Be patient. I know that he fumbled. I know that he got a concussion. I know that he's not. I know he dropped a pass. I know that was a really tough play to catch that ball, by the way. The DB put his hands in there.
It was tough.
Really, really tough. I know you see what Mike Gesicki's doing, and you get really upset. Dawson Knox is literally the Josh Allen of tight ends. He's literally the Josh Allen of tight ends. Like, barely played the position in college. Played in a very vanilla system. Physical freak. It's going to take him some time. Who knows? Maybe this concussion could be good for him. Getting to see from Tyler Kroft and Lee Smith for a couple of weeks. Getting to just look at the game from the sideline. Give Dawson Knox. Be a little bit more patient with him before we jump off the Dawson Knox bandwagon. Maybe I think it might have been the expectations were too high. Like, maybe we were just too much on the Dawson Knox bandwagon. We saw him make a play here. We saw him make a play there. And we thought to ourselves, we have the next George Kittle. He physically is as good as George Kittle. He's physically that big of a freak. But you just got to be patient with him. It's going to take him some time.
Andrew Miller says, who said it? Someone said, why are you guys talking about tight ends? It's Dr. Meme in the house. Yeah, that's it. That's a good one. That's a good one there. Look, Knox, it's well documented, the inexperience from college. We might have jumped the gun a little bit on maybe expecting too much early on from him. But, honestly, we don't have to get that much out of him right now. The big 3 receivers and between Singletary and Moss in the back, he doesn't have to be a huge part of the offense right now. So we'll see what he does from the sideline. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out for, but maybe it's a blessing in disguise for him.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got one more thing I want to say before we head out, and then we're going to go over our predictions again. One thing I do want to see from this offense, and let me know if you're in agreement. Okay. I know he had a majority of the reps. He got like 60 to Zach Moss's 40, but I want to see a little bit more Devin Singletary in this offense. What about you?
I mean, he looked good in the touches he had, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was slippery. Seemed like his vision was on. Moss had a couple nice runs, but I don't know about his vision didn't look exactly where it needed to be yesterday. Obviously, I have only watched the broadcast version to this point of the game, but it seemed like Singletary was really decisive in knowing where he wanted to go. He's an asset out of the backfield, obviously, and he was in the first game as well. Had 2 catches for 20 yards yesterday as well, on top of his 10 for 56. So a nice 5.6 per clip. And man, did he run over a couple guys as well. So he showed that power a little bit too, which, Moss got talked a lot as the power guy, rightfully so. But maybe we were jumping the gun a little bit early on Moss and how much he was going to play right away. Singletary looked good. I mean, the split was still fairly even. I mean, if you look at it, like Singletary had 10 carries, Moss had 8. So it wasn't like it was that, but I think that gets to your point. Like, do we want to see a little more Singletary? I'm personally fine with him being in that sort of like 12-ish to 14-ish touches a game or carries a game. I don't necessarily think you want him to be like a 20 carry a game guy, but a couple more carries here and there. But again, that gets back to what we were saying. It's going to be a pass first offense now. We threw the ball, 35 times, only ran it 23. 4 of those carries from Josh Allen. So only 19 runs, and one of those runs was Gabe Davis on the Wildcat one. So really only 18 runs from running backs.
Yo, first of all, can we talk about that Gabe Davis play? Because for the longest time, I'm like, Josh Allen went out wide, and I'm like, snap the ball. No one covered Josh Allen. Like, literally, they stood there and looked at him from 20 yards away. I was like, what's going on? No one's covering Josh Allen. I'm like, Gabe Davis, snap the football. And then finally, one of the safeties or something moved over and lined up on Josh Allen. I was like, dang it. I was so mad. He was wide open.
He was wide open. I mean, I made a comment like, "Don't get cute there," and people were like, "Well, he was wide open." I'm like, it's still cute if you're trying to have the rookie receiver in the Wildcat like snap the ball on time and throw it out to the quarter. Like, that's still a little cute for me, right? Like, regardless, like the execution was bad to me. Means it was like maybe a little too much for Gabe Davis right there to handle.
Yeah, and I haven't seen very much commentary on this. Other than like the negatives, like Cody Ford sucks, but Quentin Spain was being subbed out for Cody Ford. Brian Winters was taking snaps at right guard. There was a rotation of Spain, Ford, and Brian Winters like around the line. Joe Biscaglia thought maybe it was Quentin Spain not playing well. Some other people pondered maybe it was Cody Ford not playing well.
Could it have been the Heat, though? Could it have been the Heat?
That's what I'm saying. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping they were just rotating because of heat. That's what I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for, is that they were just making these rotations because of the heat. So that should just about do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We had our game picks. What were our game picks? Mine was 33-20.
Yours was 33-20, I think, or 33-21 maybe for you.
33-24. Yeah.
Okay, and mine was 24-17. So yeah, you had the points. Again. You were. I mean, that's why I said keep picking the Bills' points. I mean, I was like, hey, get them over 30. You picked their exact number last week, and hey, close again, man. Like keep picking them. Keep picking those high scores for the Bills.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Go enjoy the rest of your Monday night, your Bills victory. We will see you on Twitter. We will see you on Thursday. Smash that.
Unfortunately, you will not see me on Thursday.
I'm still working on a co-host because Nap's going to be out of town. I'm going to ask Nap.
Don't get too comfy with whoever your new co-host is on Thursday.
I got to find someone who will keep me level-headed. So
Nap sounds like a good option.
Well, he's not going to be here. Like, he's going to be traveling, I guess. So
maybe the Kingpin will make an appearance.
Before you head out, ladies and gentlemen, smash that like button. Smash that like button. Okay. We had about 260 of you in here and only 183 likes, and I think we did 200 likes worthy of content today.
I think so.
So thank you for that. We appreciate it. Until next time, I am Fat Kenny G. That is Dave Tilton.
I apparently look like Wes Welker. I don't know. Yeah. That's what I've been told.
So, Fat Kenny G from Fat Kenny G and Wes Welker, we salute you. Until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.